quiet seaside town, an evil laid to rest centuries ago, has risen. An abandoned fortress deep in the swamp holds a secret that could save the village or destroy it. Now, a band of adventurers sets out to dig up the wounds of the past and bring the light of day to the roots of ruin. This is Tabletop Gold.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Tabletop Gold, episode 98. My name is Lars Casteen. I'm the Golden Tyrant, and you are in the right place, friends, because you got your headphones on. Maybe you're in your car. You've got the stereo going. Maybe it's the year 3 million, and the cosmic radiation has just put this episode into your robo ears. And you're getting ready to enjoy what I think is going to be the best episode of this podcast yet.
I have never felt more pressure than in that moment.
That's what I was trying to do. I'm trying to put the screws to the four of you today to really to make Mr. and Mrs. Robo in the year 3 million feel good about their choice to listen to our podcast. First person whose responsibility that is Robin Lange.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Robin.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing, Lars?
I'm good. I'm all over the map tonight. I'm having a great time. I'm feeling zippy. I'm feeling
Zippy doo.
Yeah,
Ooh,
zippy zoo. I had some coffee earlier today. That's a thing that I don't really drink, but I had it, and now I'm feeling good.
Now we all get to benefit from it.
Yes, everybody wins.
2 a.m. tonight when you can't go to bed, will you be feeling so good?
Nope.
Nope.
But I will be very aware of how bad I'm feeling at that time, which is
And
always
you'll really
great.
get to dwell in it.
That's Zoe Chernicoff. Hi, Zoe.
Howdy.
Howdy. David the Tin Man Chernicoff is here as well.
Good that time.
Good that time to you. That time being the year 3 million, of course.
Yes,
as we know.
good. Yeah, and I assume it's after midnight, and we've all had too much caffeine in the year 3 million.
In the year 3 million.
God, that's going to be crazy in the year 3 million. You ever think about what things are going to be like in the year 3 million? It's going to be nuts.
time.
It's going to be
the sun will have
so
exploded
different.
and we won't be here.
Well,
I'll be here.
that's a real glass half empty sort of viewpoint. But okay.
Here's the thing:
Sure.
if
Debbie Downer over
if
here.
you don't start thinking about it now, you're definitely not going to be
right,
there.
prepare for the year. Prepare for right now for the year 3 million.
Yes, and as I read once in a professional development training, first you must plan to plan.
Ooh, that's the kind of advice that a
Oh.
consultant can charge hundreds of thousands of dollars to
That
tell a
makes
group
me
of.
think of David and I used the thinking about talking about thing, which comes from a many year ago sibling of a good friend of ours who was considering having children and decided, like, for a New Year's resolution that was the year to think about, talk about having children. So I feel like planning to plan is thinking about talking
Yeah.
about.
That's right. We're thinking about talking about the sun exploding.
Armat, how are your plans for the year 3 million going?
You know, I don't want to brag here,
Yes, you
but they're
do. Go
pretty
ahead.
well fleshed
Oh.
out. I mean,
Nice.
it all hinges, of course, on my inventing the FTL drive,
Sure.
the Humphreys 3000,
Oh, okay.
in the year 2 million. So I've got a little bit of lead up to working to that. But Elon Musk, I'm coming for you. Good that time, everybody.
Good that time.
Good that time, Armat.
Oh, we got a big episode coming up today. I'm excited. We've got a change of pace coming up. But before we get into that, David, you had something that you said you wanted to talk about that involved a certain topic germane to our show. What is that? What are we talking about today?
Oh, yes. Okay, I'm putting you a little bit on the spot here.
I love
Lars.
it. Please put me there.
He's caffeinated. He's ready to go.
Yeah, I've never been and will never be more ready than I am right now to deal with whatever you're throwing at me.
So, are there certain principles that you consider, hold dear, apply when you are considering matters of house rules.
Sure.
While you're like, can you give me an example of one, or if you have a handful off the top of your head that are like, these are like, whatever principles I hold dear, criteria I generally apply, ways that I think about it
No,
that
I get
broadly feel applicable. Yeah.
Yeah. Why? Can I ask you why you're asking the question? Is there like a house rule that came up specifically that you're like, what's
No.
the story with that?
No, it is in fact not at all related to any specific house rules on our show.
Yeah.
It's because I was thinking about the act of house ruling, irrespective of any particular example. I will tell you why, but lay it out for me first.
Sure.
It's a hypothesis that I can only test if you don't know what the hypothesis is.
Okay.
It's usually how they work.
Great. So I'm gonna say like right off the bat that I don't think that we use a lot of house rules, and I think that this coming to this system from D&D 5th edition players I think are famous for having lots and lots and lots of house rules. Like the version of 5th edition that one table plays is like very different from the version that other people play, because a lot of tables tend to use just the core of that game and then build stuff around it.
Sure.
So we have actually very few of them. Let me see if I can count them. I'm discounting all the hero point card stuff because that's less of a house rule and more of like a variant rule. House rules that we have are Aowen Norman, Eldritch Trickster, Racket is allowed to cast spells while hidden, and the spell goes off before they become unhidden. So that's one. And the reason that house rule exists is because I personally feel that the advantage that the Eldritch Trickster Racket gives you in rules as written versus just taking the Thief Racket and then taking a multi-class spellcaster archetype at level 2, it's not competitive. Like the Thief Racket is just a better choice. So that
I'm right here.
Okay. Well, yeah, but it's a better choice, but one that wasn't thematic with what it is that you wanted, right? Like you didn't want to do that. So I was trying to make it so that like I was house ruling for gameplay reasons. In my opinion, it's a flavorful choice, but a weak choice that is going to make the player who picks it feel bad. So I house rule it to improve gameplay balance. I house ruled that Mag can transfer runes without the magical crafting feat. And the reason that I did that is that rule came out after we had already been going. Like that errata that clarified that rule came out after we had already been running, and it seemed unfair to take that away from you in the middle of the game. So I house rule things to try to make the game seem more fair and to make choices that are interesting to people feel better. I do it from a game perspective. I feel like
had that one house rule about how level 7 I'd get a bite attack no matter what happened.
Right. So that's a house rule that I didn't do because there are many options that Zoe can take at any point to give herself a bite attack. It's just not how she built the character. And
right. Okay. Yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Okay. So David, what was your hypothesis? Have I talked about enough house rules?
Yes, absolutely. So here are the kind of like, this is how Lars thinks about this things that I wrote down on this purple post-it as you were talking. So the first one was, you said we don't have a lot of house rules, which is partly a system thing and part,
Yeah.
When you're trying to decide how to, like, which way to break on a house rule, you do so to make things more fair.
Yeah.
To make people have more fun.
Well, a game is about choices, and I want choices to feel good. To make
people have more fun, and feel better about what's going on.
Right.
To improve the balance of what's happening, and you don't feel like it's fair to take away something retroactively. Right. So my hypothesis was the outlook that Lars will apply to house ruling will, broadly speaking, be very good parenting advice.
Oh. What are you getting at, you scoundrel?
Because I was thinking about, I was interacting with my kids one day for, whatever, the nth hour in a row. And like part of, given their ages and like what children are, part of the like experience of being with your kids when you're like out in the world doing stuff and you're like having fun, trying to keep everybody doing, is you are, for all intents and purposes, just house ruling stuff constantly.
Right. You're just making things up.
Well, you have some house rules that you've established that you're like trying to stick to and like apply correctly and like for consistency. And then new novel things are coming at you that you're needing to kind of like field, navigate, in some cases adjudicate, etc., in order to like keep things moving and keep things, for lack of a better frame, like fun and fair. Like that is kind of what you're doing. And so I was like, I wonder if this is what it's like to GM. And I wonder if like the way that you try to think about this is sort of more or less the way that you end up thinking about either GMing in general or specifically like establishing house rules. And then I thought, I wonder how Lars thinks about this. And I wonder if it bears any resemblance to the way that he or, others at large think about child rearing. So I just wanted to put you through like a blind taste test to be like, how does Lars describe this if he doesn't? And it's like, it's not terribly far off, to be honest. My little purple Post-it says.
I mean, I just feel like if you're asking people to spend time with you doing something, you should probably give them reasonable expectations about how it is that a thing is supposed to happen. You know what I mean? Like that's my main thing. And I feel like with kids, it's even more the case because they didn't choose it. So I think you have to be particularly
and they have like no context
kids.
whatsoever. Like you're setting all of the context and all of the expectations most of the time.
Yeah.
And you're like trying to introduce concept like nourishing concepts, which then it requires creating a baseline that's like, stable and sensible and consistent. Anyway.
Well, I feel like this is all a compliment. I feel like this is all making me feel good about the things I'm saying. So I'm going to thank you for that. I feel good about that. I feel like I did a good answer.
We should go ask Sunny and Soren what they think.
Arguably, we should ask Zoe, but I'd cut her mic.
Oh. Did you find yourself making a specific house rule for your kids that felt like related to like our game or in any way or whatever?
First of all, I try to retroactively take things away all the time.
Okay.
That's like my move. No.
Smart.
Not a lot about our lives bears that much resemblance to the game, which is probably a good thing overall.
Good. Yeah.
I feel like I come up with a lot of bedtime rules that like bedtime is when I'm at my, I'm usually wake up parent. Bedtime is when my patience is at its thinnest. So I feel like any house ruling I do is bedtime where it's like, okay, everyone has had 9 minutes to get your pajamas on. So like we have our son
it's
is
the 9-minute rule.
Exactly. Like you find yourself it's like when I'm the most at the, I don't even think it's saying things my parents said, but I feel like people describe that feeling of being like, who have I become?
Right.
When you hear yourself saying things that you sort of generally told yourself you never would.
Right.
When you were,
Yeah. So then I come up with things I don't even want to bed. I'm like, no bedtime stories or what, it's
right.
like a punishment for me because
right.
then you're trying to put two kids to bed who haven't had the closure that they're seeking. And I like reading to the,
I'm going to take away one of my most valuable tools if you don't.
Exactly. You're like, what have I done? How do I get out of this?
Yeah.
I definitely feel myself. I that was a thing that I've realized like very early on of like, I need to be really careful about what it is that I'm threatening to not do. It's so hard. And then I just realized I don't care. And, if you want a bite attack, you can have a bite attack. I'll just.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. That's on the record
us,
now.
not the kids.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think we just found an example of something that is a better thing to apply in the game than it is to raising children.
Fair enough.
You should definitely take away bite attacks from your children.
Yeah, probably.
Yes, please.
Oh, I've been
gosh.
trying for months to do that. Believe me.
Karma.
Yeah, I know. Wait a minute. Okay. How dare you? Okay, let's take a moment to thank the people who are supporting the show by writing reviews. We got this nice, short and sweet review from CJ Steyer. This is CJ Steyer on Podcast Addict, who let us know that they just found the show recently and they can't get enough. And I love hearing that. I love hearing that new people are finding us and are enjoying our show. It makes me so happy. Like
even here, Lars, in the year 3 million,
right?
There are still people encountering the show for the first
That's
time.
the thing is I want to think that the people who have heard our show so far are dwarfed by the various, robotic psychopaths listening in 3 million years, right? That's what we want. That's the goal.
Absolutely.
Figuratively
Thank
or
you.
literally?
It's right there in our mission statement.
I think both.
To persist as a sonic form bouncing around between the stars until the year 3 million.
That's the dream.
In the charter.
Cool.
Kind of is. Yeah.
But thank you so much, CJ Steyer, 1, for finding our podcast, and 2, for leaving that review. Thank you. And with that,
Thank you.
Let's play our game. You've spent the better part of an hour in an underground tavern pressing its Morlock patrons for information about the surrounding parts of the Abomination vaults. You've mostly learned two things. First, that the Morlocks are interested in undergoing a process that supposedly makes them stronger and replaces their bones. And second, that this tavern is a lonely, purgatorial place. The creatures here may spend months drinking and listening to music as they wait to be selected for this process. The tedium interrupted by rare moments when anything interesting happens. One of those interesting moments is happening right now, as the Morlocks have suddenly become rowdy, shouting for the four of you to challenge the house band, Rita and the Shadows, to some sort of challenge. And that's where we're picking
messed up.
Good stuff.
One thing I want to tell you before I set any more of the scene, Istin is now, and now I'm saying his name Istin. I've said Istin for a number of episodes.
Which should we
I asked Armet in the first episode that he was introduced, is it Istin or Istin? And he gave me an answer that I could not clearly understand. And I rolled with it. And I'm pretty sure as I go back and listen to those episodes now that I went the wrong way. It's Istin, not Istin, right?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Istin.
Wait
Yeah.
a minute. Wait a minute.
It's like a little of
Istin.
both. Istin.
Oh,
You know?
it's like a
Istin.
it's a phoneme that I don't have. It's like an Icelandic th.
Is it with a thorn or an F?
I was thinking thorn actually
Okay.
just right
Istin.
now.
Can I have
Istin.
can somebody demonstrate a thorn?
So
please?
when you're thorn, the letter thorn, when it looks on the side, so these are he's mentioned that. So in Icelandic, there's two THs. There's thorn and F.
Right.
And thorn
Right.
looks like a tongue sticking out from a smile on the side. And so the way I always like when you type it, like an ASCII, like emoji, tongue sticking out. And when you say thorn,
Okay,
your
I get where
tongue
we're
actually
going.
sticks out of your mouth fully. So thorn
So
versus
Isthven.
S.
Oh,
and
I'm not
F
doing
is
that.
actually F is to the
Isthven.
teeth rather than
Thorn.
Isthven. So which one is it, Armet? Which Icelandic TH is it?
I actually may have gotten it wrong. I've been saying it like mostly like Tristan, but with like a soft.
So it's F.
to
So
it.
it's more like the
Isthven.
teeth. Isthven.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the Tristan thing, I'm glad this came up because I've been saying it Istin because what you said was it's like Tristan, but Istin. So I was like, okay, hard T, we're good.
No.
But you're actually saying Tristan like Tristan.
Istin.
Yeah,
Well,
you
'cause-
guys don't put the H in
Okay,
Tristan.
And the name Tristan also could be done with an M. So Tristram.
Well,
What?
that's muddying the waters in a way that
Yeah.
is absolutely
Yeah.
that is
We're
that is
into
irresponsible.
Archer M as in Mancy territory
Yes.
right now. Like,
I will have you know, my Uncle Mancy is a wonderful person.
next phoneme diagnostic question. Is it at all like the word isthmus?
Yes, totally.
Ooh,
Or at
isthmus.
least in my head, that's how it like isthmus.
So there's a s and then a th, but they're so close together that it kind of gets into like a little bit of a harder
Is it
T on the th.
Yes.
TH or is it just STH? Like, is it
Isthven.
istth?
Isthven.
Is it Istatha? That's the question.
I think he'll respond to any and all of the above.
But that doesn't answer what he prefers to be called.
I can only say it the way I say it, which is Istin.
Isthven.
Istin.
Istin. Istin.
So it's
Istin.
like the H. No, the H is more aspirated. The
I
way
don't
you
think
say
I
it.
can. I don't think
Isthven.
my tongue knows how to do that. I think I need to practice.
Isthven.
Yeah.
There's almost like a glottal stop between the T and the A.
I don't think. I think
Istin.
my tongue is. I don't think I have that much
Istin.
tongue control.
I just learned so much more about you than I needed to know, Lars.
How dare you?
This could have been an entire episode of just us trying to work through this.
This was the challenge. The challenge was pronounce Isthen's
Oh,
name.
who won?
Isthven.
You all failed.
No.
But what I wanted to
Even
I'm
say
dying too.
is that Istin, his fucking what are we talking about? His Entheebled is now down to 1. Is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
A few.
All right.
Okay.
Soon that arm wrestling contest with Mag will be on.
It's right around the corner. But first, before we do that, yes, David.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it's pronounced Entheebled.
Entheebled.
Enfeebled.
I feel like it's almost like a Castilian, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, it has that right.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
Barcelona.
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 Easton.
Istanbul.
I feel like that's as close as I've gotten. Easton? I can't do it with
Well,
an...
the Iftan, then it's reversing them the other way.
All right.
Iftan.
Okay. We must move on. We must move on.
I don't know.
Do
Will
we
we
ever
ever really
Must we
move on?
truly?
Stay tuned for our other podcast, Tabletop Dialects.
Okay.
Yo, I'm here for it.
God, we're nerds.
Okay. So these Morlocks are shouting,
Challenge! Challenge! Challenge!
in Undercommon, Lalazanx, the spider-legged drow woman with fangs and eyes and all sorts of mandibles and stuff, she is shouting in Common, challenge, challenge. So Rita has just come out from the backstage area back by the stage in the lower corner of the tavern. And she looks out over the four of you and she says, "You want to challenge us? Then let's go to it. We'll each face off one-on-one,
Oh.
and then we're going to go head-to-head. Your band versus my band, Rita and the Shadows."
Wait, band?
And the Morlocks are going,
Challenge! Challenge! Challenge!
as this tavern is off the hook. People are screaming. And Rita yells, "Quiet!" and sticks her rat folk hand up in the air and says, "We do the head-to-head competition first. One-on-one." The bassist steps forward.
Bathist?
The bassist.
The Bathist.
Rita yells, "Nox, show 'em what you can do." And this woman steps up. She's this pale, I'm showing you the art right now. She's this pale humanoid woman in an ornate purple bodysuit. And she steps forward and she just smokes the room. Like upright bass, boom, 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 like a lot of slapping, a lot of percussion on the thing. And the Morlocks the entire time are like clapping along, shouting like,
Nox! 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 Nox!
which of course is
Yang! Yang! Bonobo! Yang! Yang! Bonobo!
right? And the audience loves it. Rita steps forward. She says, "Looks like the crowd's into it. Which of the four of you thinks you can do something that the audience will like more?" And this is when the four of you need to individually think of something that you are capable of doing that might impress the audience. Then you need to get on stage, and then you need to make a skill check to see if you can impress the audience more than Nox just did with her, to be honest, quite gauche, but this audience likes it, bass solo.
Mag catches Trill's eye and gives her, a little jerk of the head, suggesting that they should go on stage together.
I don't think we can do together. It would just be one.
You can try it. See if everybody in the bar screams at you and starts fighting you. I don't know. Dude, go nuts.
Whatever works. I think Rita pretty clely laid out the challenge is one person at a time. Well, Trill will start off. Trill's like, "Okay, this is my wheelhouse. Okay." Following up the bass solo with a little lute, and Trill gets up on stage and starts doing a bardcore version of Lady Gaga Bad Romance.
Ooh.
Da da da.
Da, 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 all in her lute.
And Rita looks Trill up and down with harsh judgment as she approaches and as she plays. Let's see how the audience is responding to Trill's bardcore Bad Romance. By making a performance check, right? That's what you're
A
describing.
standard old performance check, right?
Yep.
Let's do this thing.
Let's do it.
Oof. Thankfully, I've got a lot to add to it. It was not a good roll, but I still ended up with a 21.
Okay. And the crowd is kind of like,
Oh, wait,
They're-
hold on.
They're kind of Katy Perry fans.
Let me just hold on. Let me just see if I've got. Let's see.
all right.
Uh,
Robin is looking at something, and I am stretching for time. I want to describe how apathetic the crowd is in as much detail as I can as Robin is looking
Apathy
this
is a good thing to really draw out.
Expound.
up. A conversation has sort of happened between these two Morlocks that Ao is sitting with at this near card table.
so Trill, being kind of annoyed at herself with this, says, "No, wait, I can be just better," and I'm going to use a hero point card.
What?
So the card I'm using is from Evan from Norway,
Ooh.
and it's called Just Better. Now, here's the thing. It says I want to reroll a crucial roll with the hero point. And I feel like Trill performing in a challenge is a pretty crucial moment for Trill.
And this card says that consensus for crucialness is needed.
Yes.
So do the four of you agree that Trill playing a song by herself in a non-life and death situation on a stage as Morlocks are watching and clapping along, is that crucial, is the question. Let's take a vote.
Well, when you put it like that,
Look, I have no dog in this race, guys.
I'm looking up the word crucial in the dictionary.
Okay, David, what do you
I'm
think?
wait, no, I want to hear the definition.
Webster's dictionary defines the word
Or
crucial.
essential to resolving a crisis. Marked by final determination of a doubtful issue. By this second definition, I think it is certainly crucial. There's a doubtful issue. Will Trill beat the bassist?
Okay.
And this will help determine it.
Yeah.
By other definitions, I'm not so sure, but I found one I can pin my hat to, and I'm sticking with it.
Thank you, Zoe.
All right, so Zoe, you're voting yes, this is crucial?
Yes.
Okay. David.
Nah.
Okay. Armat, you're the tiebreaker. Robin, I'm sure, is voting yes. I'm definitely voting no.
Oh,
Do I have a
geez.
vote? Am I allowed to vote?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so in this.
You
I'll
get
give
to
it
decide
Yeah,
that.
I don't think this is crucial. Armat, what do you think? Is it crucial or not crucial?
Well, it comes from the Latin root crux, which of course means cross.
Mhm.
And so this is a crossroads
Mm.
whereby we could go one way or we could go another way.
Yeah, it's definitely a moment.
Right. Something's
It's
happening.
There's definitely a
And it's an
die.
important moment for Trill.
We do exist in time.
If you think about it, like, who are we to judge which moments are crucial?
Oh my God, I know.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay, Armat, you got to make your choice. We have to move on.
I don't know if this counts entirely as a crucial moment. I'm so sorry,
Whoa.
Rob.
Okay, so
Hey,
I don't get to use the hero point.
I'm going to say that hero point card stays in the mix, though. I'm not that's not a using up of that hero point
Yeah.
card.
So I didn't use it. So I didn't use the hero
I'm
point.
going to say
I just
that
was
you
not,
didn't use the hero point.
I was just not
No,
allowed
I'm going
to
to
use
say
it.
that you
Okay.
did use the hero point, but the card,
Oh, that seems
the card
cruel.
sticks. Is that me?
Can I change my vote? I feel like it's more fun if we use out of
Well, wait. If Robin at least gets to re-roll it,
This is
For the hero
definitely becoming
point.
a crucial moment for our friend group. So in that sense,
Armet, does this new
Jumping-
information change your opinion at all?
I think it sort of does. It's more that I'm going by the rule of cool here, and I think it's cooler if we use the hero point.
Okay, well,
card.
then I need to make a counter argument. I think it's much
Okay.
cooler if this hero point card sticks around and we actually hold this thing to a high standard. I think blowing this cool hero point card on a non-crucial moment is less cool than introducing it and then continuing to play with it later.
Hmm.
can I add a very brief tangent?
Please.
I think your ruling that it stays in is fair. I feel like if Robin is using her hero point, she should at least be permitted a re-roll so that the
Agreed.
hero point...
I like that.
Yes.
I will.
There we go.
I will
think
take
that's
that.
good.
I can.
I'm
get
sorry.
behind
I'm
that,
sorry, David.
for sure.
I'm in the flesh right now. You need
I
to
get you.
forgive
I will
me these trespasses.
I will take
against
that.
you.
Okay. So I'm gonna re-roll.
Okay.
And let's see if I can get better than a 5 on the die.
All right.
I got a 4 on the die.
Oh, no!
Okay.
I went down one.
God.
A string, like one of the strings is out of tune on her lute. It's not broken. It's just slightly out of tune.
And to make it clear, what would have happened if that had passed the consensus vote is that Robin would have been allowed to roll a d20 twice. So if we had accepted that, she would have rolled 2 d20 and taken the highest one. Instead, this was just a regular hero point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh well.
Okay. So the crowd is sort of mildly reacting. And Rita,
Rose looks near tears.
as this string breaks, and Rita sort of sneers.
No, it doesn't break.
Sorry.
She didn't fail, right?
She did fail, of course, yeah.
Oh, that was a failure.
That was a
Okay,
failure.
So I guess the string breaks. Woof.
And Rita sort of sneers and says, all right. Well,
I can do better, I swear. Trill kind of steps off stage dejectedly.
and
Well,
she
now
She
it
was
feels
aiming for
crucial.
drop D.
And as Trill heads back off stage, maybe you're fixing your string, sort of dejectedly. Rita continues. Next up, let's hear from the Duergar who can do anything. And the drummer sort of gives an enthusiastic thumbs up as Rita delivers this pun that she has clearly been forced to do by her drummer. It's Kragala! Behold, and become entranced by the rhythm. And the drummer, this smaller, dwarven-looking woman, steps forward and does an impressive drum solo. The audience loves it. They are bopping along to the beat as this small woman pounds these 3 drums around her waist in ever more complicated rhythms before reaching a simple but crowd-pleasing sort of "we will rock you" style thing. And Rita, is moving her hands back and forth like she's blowing smoke off of Kragala. And she says, okay, which one of you 3? She points at Mag, Ao, and Isthin. Thinks you can top that.
Mag will step forward and she will hold out her hand to the drummer as if to ask for one of the drummer's mallets.
And the drummer looks at Rita like, should I do it? And Rita nods, and she hands over the mallet.
And then Mag will walk over to Isthin, would make sense, and hold out a hand to Isthin to ask for something similar in size. Anything that Isthin might have.
Isthin does not have a ton of things. His last adventure did not go super well, clearly. So,
as Isthin
he's
looks
got a
around,
beer
he sees,
stein?
there are steins of
Yeah.
beer all over the place. There is the sort of all the sorts of stuff you would find in a tavern is all around you.
perfect. He'll hand a drinking horn to Mag.
Okay. All right. Does he drain it first? Has he been drinking
Oh,
out
yeah.
of it?
Throws it back in one great quaff
yeah.
of mead.
All right, so with those 2 objects in hand, Mag then pulls one of her light hammers off of her belt so that she's holding these 3 objects in her 2 hands. And she steps forward to center stage.
And as you step forward, you see that all of these Morlocks with their big, opaque white eyes are just like tracking you, sort of murmuring like,
What? Bonobo.
As she sees these Morlock eyes struggling with the dim enough light that that helps our heroes, Mag says quietly under her breath, "Time to dazzle them." And she begins to juggle the 3 objects.
what on earth kind of check are you going to make for juggling?
Religion.
Yeah, Arcana. I would argue it would be athletics.
Okay, so that to me, is there a way that you can do this juggling that is a show of like a shock show of strength to make
Oh.
athletics relevant?
I guess they could be heavier. Well, instead of a light hammer, it'll be the maul. She'll
Okay.
juggle the maul, or I guess maybe the maul might be too big. That's a two-handed weapon. So the warhammer.
Okay.
She takes the warhammer off her back. So she will juggle one of the drummer's mallets, an empty beer horn, and a giant warhammer.
And as the warhammer comes off of Mag's back, the crowd is like, they are excited to see what you do juggling this warhammer. Let's get that athletics check.
And that is a 22.
And the Morlocks throw their hands up in the air and they're like, ah! As they are blown away by just how deftly this enormous hammer flies through the air, and Mag catches it and swings it around and throws it up one more time.
You need another check?
I don't.
And so as it flies high up in the air, arcing above the stage, Mag takes the moment to toss the beer horn back to Isthin and to toss the mallet back to the drummer, and then catches the warhammer as it falls with a final flourish.
And Rita sort of sneers. She's like, okay, that was pretty good. Nice job. But will any of you have anything that you can do to stop the fingerboard assassin, Gulzash?
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh, that's not a good name.
Do we die in real life?
And this large lizard-like humanoid steps forward. And he raises an eyebrow to the crowd, brandishes his lute, and does the most Eddie Van Halen-esque fingerboard tapping ass, like, you know, I can't even do it with my mouth what this guy is doing. It's nuts. Again, gauche, I don't care for it. It's not what I like. But these Morlocks are going nuts for it. And he finally, finishes his solo, slides to the front of the stage on his knees, holds the lute up in the air, and the Morlocks in unison yell, Gulzash! And you can see that Lalazanx is looking lustfully at Gulzash as he finishes his performance. And Rita pats Gulzash on the back as he steps back towards the backstage. She says, any one of the remaining two think they've got something here? Are you feeling a little scared? Do you want to quit now?
Isthin will look to Ao and go, do you want to go? Should I eat?
And she glances back at him. She's been sort of quiet this whole time. She goes, no, I'm challenging her. Looks at Rita.
Ooh. All right then. Well, let's see what I can do. And he limbers up a little bit. And rather than going up to the stage, jumps on to the nearest bar table. And he sort of motions every Morlock and all of the assorted patrons to clear a path on the tables.
They back up. They're confused for a second. And Lalazanx reaches out and forcefully pulls some stragglers who don't understand what you're asking for out of the way.
And Isthin winks at Lalazanx and says, oh, thank you very much. And then is going to try and do an acrobatic series of parkour moves, jumping from table to table up to the stage, finishing with deploying a flourish of his staff by using the focus spell Spinning Staff. So I'm imagining athletics and acrobatics rolls to see if he can pull this off.
And you're talking about a magic spell. I'm gonna ask you which of those three, acrobatics, athletics, or arcana, are more vital to the attempt to impress. Where is the money coming from in this challenge is what I'm asking for.
Well, he's leaping, so that would be athletics, right?
Sure.
I think athletics, maybe.
All right.
That would be my ideal, at least, because it's currently the best.
In my mind, he's also wearing a kilt, so this is an awfully fresh tumble that he does.
Oh, I like where this is heading. Absolutely.
She lowers a set of sunglasses with 7 different eye holes for her 7 eyes as she looks at you. All right. So as you attempt to leap from table to table
That is a natural 1 on the die. So he just like plummets right into the table ahead of him and kind of knocks himself down to the ground, I imagine.
Okay. So,
Kilt akimbo.
Do I have a hero point?
Spoiler alert. I'm being reminded of a particular moment in the second season of White Lotus.
is there a part in
not
White
seen
Lotus where a dude totally eats shit trying to jump across the table?
Not dude, but pretty close.
I forgot about that.
You know what?
What a show.
I'm going to burn a hero point on
Okay.
this. Not because it makes sense
Oh.
tactically, but because it makes sense emotionally.
So in his mind, Istin has a moment of panic as he sees himself completely like bashing his teeth in on one of these tables and considers again, reaches down and does an act of heroism to think again about how he's going to approach this.
At least in this case, it will be hard for me to roll worse than I already have.
I don't think there are negative numbers on the die, thankfully.
That's an 18 on the die for a 31.
So let me tell you something. As you're jumping from table to table, you see another table very far away that you can jump to, like jump all the way to the bar, right? And then you feel how your body is slightly weaker and you just can't make the jump. And you finish with a flourish, but you just don't quite put in that extra step forward that you know would have really gotten the Morlocks.
And that's just the
Wound up.
last enfeebled.
That's the last Entheebled. He missed a critical by 1.
Ah!
Man.
I think that's Entheebled, you meant?
Entheebled.
Yeah.
Enfeebled.
Tim Thibault.
Enfeebled.
Okay. And so the Morlocks are now like pretty much they're very on your side. Like they're getting really into these challenges now. And Rita says, "All right. It's pretty good. That was pretty good. That was good. And she sees how geared up the audience is, and she looks pleased. And she says, "Now, let's see if I can do anything." And she sits down at the piano on the stage and plays a soulful melody. If you were to look around the room, you'd see that the Morlocks' opaque eyes as she plays, as she casts this musical spell on the room, they're starting to tear up. The Morlock who had fallen on the floor when Istin told a pun has now pulled herself back up to the bar and starts weeping as she listens contemplatively. Her song finishes and Rita stands up. She looks a little bit shaken. She's like, "Okay, it looks like it's up to," and she points at Ao, the Morlock. Ao, still magically disguised as a Morlock. "Looks like it's up to you to beat that." And you can see that there's something in her eyes. Like she's trying, like she's afraid that Ao is going to do something that is going to impress this audience more than what she has just done. What will Ao do?
Ao stands up from the table where she's been sitting with the other 2 Morlocks, cracks her knuckles, and quietly walks up on the stage, pulling out of her pocket 1 lone deck of cards, unremarkable. She shuffles it and does 1 quick, flourishy card trick, brandishing the cards into a rainbow arc. And as she does so, she transforms the first time into a human Dampier Magus from the Darklands. How anyone can tell this, we don't know. She does another quick card trick, this time wrapping the cards, shuffling them as they circle around her head, her mage hand playing a quiet magical part. And briefly, somewhat oddly, she appears to be undead Haplo, which is no doubt very strange for Istin. She does another quick trick,
thought my dad.
This time, the cards
Is that it?
looping in and out of her legs in a figure 8, and this time she appears to be a hobgoblin magus. Finally, one last time, another trick. The cards fly out from her and return like a boomerang, and she looks like a half-elven ranger from Kionin. No one knows why. And then she throws the cards up, disappears, and a second, an awkward 5 to 7 seconds go by while everyone wonders where she is, and she pops up from behind the bar, behind the bartender, and just in almost a yowl, now appearing as her fox self, but no one would know that except for the other adventurers, just sings out in an aria that I will not do justice to because I am not a singer. Cry, baby, cry, cry, cry. And then the cards fly in the air everywhere, like showering over all the patrons. And what can only be described as a truly abstract impressionist art piece that they've never seen the likes of before in this bar.
Oh,
This is amazing. This is amazing.
well, Zoe, that was phenomenal.
Trill goes wild. I don't care what the roll was. Trill goes wild.
Yeah, sorry. That all's supposed
It's
to
a
be
one.
one roll?
Well, right. So we gotta unpack some stuff. I'm gonna give you a +1 to your roll, a bonus for how spectacular the ambitions of your show are. But I just want to let you know, I heard a deception check in there because you were transforming into different people.
I
heard
think
a
the trick's in the
wait,
transforming. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I heard a stealth check because you disappeared and moved across the room without anybody noticing you. And I heard a performance check because you're singing a song.
Sure.
Which of those 3 things do you think is where AO really broke the hearts of this audience?
To me, it was deception. I went into this thinking deception.
Awesome. Well, let me just say, I think that could also be occultism because you are magically transforming yourself. If you wanted to add that into the mix as well. Your choice for however you want to approach it, though.
I don't know. I feel like for AO, like the magic just is deception. Like that's sort of who she is. But
I love it. So here's the bad news. I'm taking away that +1 that I gave you. Because
preposterousness.
since you're using your hat, and we're way off of the raw. Don't talk to me about this. Okay?
I believe the phrase is "don't at me."
Don't at me.
say.
Thank you, Rob.
Don't at Lars.
Don't at Lars. But I think because you're magically trying to impersonate things using your hat of disguise and casting illusory disguise on yourself, you're actually getting a +4 to that check.
Wow.
Wow.
Whoa.
So we're talking about deception +4 as you just transform just a flurry of different images appearing in front of these Morlocks as they blink in disbelief at you. Let's get that check.
God, it's like AO's getting broken.
That is a 34 with the +4.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
Ayo,
That-
good stuff.
Trill goes wild.
Is a critical success.
All right.
Damn straight it is.
As the
That
crowd,
Rita.
their tears from Rita's performance are replaced by just like,
Ooh! Ah!
as they are completely along for the ride with you as you just go through this like
Eldritch trickster.
yes
Shtick.
as you play the most eldritch of tricks on them, and they are flabbergasted by what it is that you've just done. And
More like Eldritch Sticks.
it is actually more like that. That's true.
That's how you say Isthan, right? That I said I finally got the
You
sound
finally nailed
somewhere
it,
in there.
Yeah.
So Rita looks upset. She's mad, and she locks eyes on AO and just sort of sneers for a second. And she says, "Okay, that's the end of the individual challenge. Some of you have some skills, but let's see if you can beat this." And Rita and the shadows jump into a full-on song, perfectly executed, beautifully synchronous, the emotions rising and falling as the song goes through its structure. You notice in the corner of the room, there's a woman who steps out. Like behind the bar, there are these two doors that look like they lead deeper into the tavern. She steps through one of them, and she is watching Rita play. She is an Urdefon woman. They're a Darkland resident. You met one of them when you unfroze them using basilisk blood, and they screamed for a moment, and then their heart exploded, right?
Right.
Right.
She's got this bluish translucent skin and glowing red eyes. You can see her like circulatory system through her skin as she's standing in the back of the bar. And she's wearing a fashionable orange belly shirt. And she leans against the counter and nods, satisfied with Rita and the Shadows' performance. Rita and her band finish playing. The Morlocks clapping along, singing the song. They all know the thing. It has various moves. Have you ever seen the Eurovision, the story of whatever it is, that comedy that Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams did?
I've only watched actual Eurovision.
They sing a song in it called Ya Ya Ding Dong that is like the dumbest song that they play, that they're like, God damn it, our like hayseed, like parochial Swedish countryside community loves this idiotic song, Ya Ya Ding Dong, and we have to play it for them all the time. Anyway, well, the movie's great. But they're doing all the Morlocks are all doing all of the moves to this song, and they're having a great time.
Trying to decide what the Otari equivalent of YMCA would be, like the Young Druids Serenade Association or something.
Yeah.
So they're, different letters.
Right.
But...
It's fun to go to the Stone Ring Pond. It's fun to go. But Rita stops playing and she says, Thank you very much. And she says to the crowd, and the crowd is like, Yay! And they're all applauding. And they're just like completely freaking out. She looks at you and says, Okay, now you all try. And the band steps forward and shove their instruments in your hands as they pull you up on the stage. And it is
you have to play their instruments?
Yeah. Well, let me just explain to you the situation.
Remind me the instruments too, as you do.
We got a lute, we got a bass lute, we got drums, and we got keys/singing.
Okay.
It may not surprise you that I don't have the best music for this particular moment.
On account of the beautiful song you arranged and sang just 2 episodes ago?
No, just setting the tone of like, it's sort of scary that they have to play these instruments. Like, I don't have that. That's not a thing that exists in the Tabletop Gold library. But this terrifying piece of music will simply have to do.
Excellent.
So you're looking out over the crowd and looking down at these instruments in your hands. And I want to tell you how this... Okay, well, this is way too much.
That's terrifying.
This is outrageous.
It is pretty forward, yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can ramp that one back slightly. So here's the way that this is going to work. One of you must attempt a performance check. You will be the lead performer. This music. You will be the lead performer. Any number of other heroes can aid this check. I'm going to be a real stickler about what I'm counting as aid here. We're not going to do athletics checks to help this song out, okay? However, whoever your lead performer is going to get a +2 bonus for each hero who got a critical success in the individual phase to reflect the Morlocks rooting for you. A +1 bonus for each hero who got a success in the individual phase. And a penalty, a -1 penalty for anybody who got a critical failure. So Trill, this moment of embarrassment, fresh in your mind. If you choose to be the lead performer, and if you don't, I don't think you understand the rules of this game. But you are going to be approaching this performance check to try to beat Rita and the Shadows group performance with a +4, a +2 from Ao's critical success, and +1s each from Mag and Isthens.
So, I think Trill would get up to try and get back some honor. But also because I think I definitely have the highest performance out of everyone.
If you don't, you have built your character incorrectly.
Exactly. And so I think, no, even with a critical failure, Trill would still get a 20.
Yeah, but a critical failure is going to lower.
Yeah.
And you don't know what the DC is.
Yeah, I don't.
And frankly, I'm not going to tell you.
But I think Trill's got to do it. So it's +4?
It's +4.
Okay. And that's with...
I just want to mention, you failed in front of this crowd 10
Thanks, Lars.
minutes ago.
Thanks.
And you see the expectant eyes of these Morlocks gazing up at you. Some of them conversing between each other.
Yang bonobo.
They say to each other.
She fixed her, she fixed the string.
You may have fixed the string, but you still don't know Undercommon, and you have no idea what they're saying to
I
each other.
have no idea what they're saying.
That's probably helpful here, honestly,
Yeah.
right?
It might
Yeah.
be a blessing.
Is anyone aiding Trill in this before I do my roll?
I think Ao is amped up and she's over on the drums, just like getting the beat going, getting things going,
Okay.
aiding. Is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
What skill do you want to use to aid?
Well, I want to use deception, so maybe she
You could be
turns into a famous drummer.
you could be pretending to play the drums with deception.
Yes, her mage hand is actually playing, but she doesn't have her mage hand has excellent rhythm, so she's just not actually hitting the drum, but the mage hand it's like a bongo. The mage hand is doing all the work.
So here's what I'm imagining. I'm imagining that this is the fantasy world version of like some real Tommy Lee bullshit drumming. Like you're just spinning the sticks all over the place. The
Right,
mage hand is helping out.
Love
the,
it.
The
I love
drums
it.
are
She's in
getting
a
dipped
cage
underwater,
that-
I think. The cage,
Yeah.
who even knows what the hell's going on? So, Ao does a big deceptive show on the drums. Let's get that deception check to aid.
19.
And it does not seem to have any meaningful impact on the show whatsoever.
She whacks herself in the eye with a drumstick as she's spinning it through the air. Oh,
So, Lars.
Yeah.
If I roll a 3, if the 3 continues to haunt me like it has for the last, 15 episodes,
Go on.
I'm going to be real mad.
Okay. I'm going to be mad too about
But
something
those are the
unrelated
stakes.
to our game tonight, but I'm kind of upset about some stuff. So
Oh, no. Okay.
it's an upsetting
Do
time to
this.
be alive.
that's right. Listen,
Yeah, fair enough.
I've looked out the window. I know what's happening.
Let's do this thing.
Okay.
I've never been more frightened about a roll because it feels like this is so much to do, not with necessarily the game itself, but with who Trill is.
Yeah. A lot's on the line.
Okay. And it nearly stopped in a 20,
Okay.
but then it kept rolling
Yes.
to a 5 on the die for a 21.
21 fails. But a 25.
Oh, right. It's a 25.
Let's see how
That's
that
the plus
does.
4.
So you finish playing your song. What does the song sound like, Robin? What is Trill doing as Ao spins her drumsticks around in the background?
And everyone else
It's
just
more like a
pretends to
rave,
play.
like a one-person rave.
I
Sandstorm.
think Trill is doing a little Save Ferris Come on Eileen.
Oh, a barn burner.
Trying
Yeah, a barn
Yeah,
burner song.
trying to get the energy up. Come on, Eileen. Oh,
Yeah.
I know what you need at this moment.
And you can tell that the crowd is with you. Like, they like you guys. You've put on such a show for them. Like, I mentioned it before, they have been waiting here for months to be plucked randomly from this tavern to be put through some sort of process. And you have been a ray of sunshine ever since the four of you stumbled into this room. So they're on your side. And you finish playing your song. And Rita says, okay. Nice job, I guess. She yells out to the crowd, now it's time to see who won! And she calls out to that woman who's standing behind the bar, the Urdefon with the blue skin and the translucent organs. She yells out, so, Viscari, you run the place, what do you think? Who is better tonight? And Viscari stands there and thinks. And she says, well, today, the best performer was... She nods at Trill. And she says, you did good. I liked it. She turns around and closes the door, walking back into the area behind the bar.
And Trill starts playing an encore.
And the Morlocks love it. They're clapping along, they're shouting, they're having a grand old time. Everyone is digging it. And Rita looks at the four of you and says, okay, you did a good job. It was good. You did it was fine.
You want jam?
You know what? I do want to jam. And so Trill starts sitting on stage with Rita and the Shadows and plays along with them for their next set. You guys did it! You passed the Rita and the Shadows challenge!
Woo, boy.
Let's head back to town.
Yeah.
And I think
That got tense.
that's enough time to have passed for our friend Istin to no longer be enfeebled.
Enfeebled.
Yeah!
And
So, what are you guys doing?
So while Trill and Rita are jamming, I think Ao has sort of gotten her hackles up over Rita and just feels too betrayed by her peering into her soul and then it not mattering to her at all.
Yeah.
So she skirts along, she hops off the stage where she has been not actually playing the drums, skirts along the east wall up to the door where the proprietress came in.
Can I ask a question? What does Ao look like right now?
As she skirts, she turns back into a Morlock.
Okay. Got it. I have to confess, I've completely lost your token. I have no idea
No
which...
one knows. I seem to have disappeared, which is what I wanted, I guess.
I have a feeling this is going to be an ongoing issue for us.
So as you walk towards that back room, the bartender calls out to you.
No, don't go back there.
And he's just too lazy to, stop you. It's just, the most half-hearted,
You're not allowed back there.
And you can just go
Ao
through the door.
is uninterested in his guidance and goes through the door.
Okay, so Istin and Mag, they see Ao pass through this door as a Morlock. What are they going to do? And does Ao want them to follow her?
If Mag notices, I think she'd follow. I guess my question is, does she notice in the kind of general tumult? Is Ao sneaking out?
I think she's going with purpose. I don't think she's trying to hide. She's
Okay.
just uninterested in anyone else's opinion.
All right,
So
Mag,
it's just
Mag
normal
follows.
Ao.
Yeah.
What about Istin?
I think he looks over at Mag to try and gauge her response and sees that since she's going, he'll follow and be like, whoa, wait for me.
So Trill, you see all three of your friends disappear into this back room as you're playing. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and Trill's there's clearly, it's almost like being up here is kind of like a distraction, so no one really, I think she's helping other people not notice what her compatriots are doing by staying up with Rita.
Totally.
Keeping the vibe going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the three of you, undercover of Trill's performance, step through this back door, this room leading to like a backstage kind of area. As this Morlock bartender sort of, again, as Mag and then as Isthan go by, they're just like,
You can't. Okay. You just, okay.
and you slip into this back area and you see that you're in this tiny backstage or like back office area. And it's a very narrow hallway that has doors leading to the north and south.
Any indication where the proprietress went?
Yeah. I'll ask for a survival check on that one if anyone wants to do that.
Oh, gosh, I'll tell you what I am good at.
Yeah. Anybody who's investing heavily in survival really understands what's important in this game.
I have okay survival. I just don't think Mag would be like trying to
Yeah, I think Ao's the only one who's looking for this woman, right?
track that other I think she's just following Ao.
Sure.
So
this is going to be an easy survival check. She's not paying much attention to what it is that she's not trying to hide her tracks or anything.
Is it as easy as a 4?
I'm gonna say no, not really. You look both ways, to the north, to the south. You don't have much of a sense of where she's gone.
I need to talk to that proprietress. I think maybe she chaperones people out. And Ao's sort of like, you wouldn't know what she was talking about, but she's clearly focused. And she goes up to the north and like sniffs.
And she sniffs and it smells dusty and like there's lots of paper in the room to the north.
And goes to the south and sniffs and see if it smells any different.
Smells like food. Smelly food.
And she decides, since the proprietress is, this is an establishment, she's going to pick the food door. Maybe she lures them out with food, she says inscrutably.
So Ao opens this room and finds herself looking into a small dining room. There's a table over on the east side of the room, and there's just a disgusting buffet of smelly fried foods, gloppy dipping sauce, and these mushrooms with spines coming out of them. And it looks unlike any food that you have ever eaten. It seems as though those who live underground have a different taste than you do.
They always tell you the food is going to be good to get you to go through the process. She like mumbles quietly to herself and like picks something up, dangles it in the air disgustedly, and lets it fall back on the plate.
And you see then that there's another door leading to the south, and it has the words "performers only" written on it in Undercommon. Nyang Yang Bonobo, it says.
Just because it's the next thing to do in her search for this woman, she goes to that door and opens it.
She opens that door, and the sound of the band playing music gets a little bit louder as she does so. And in this room, it looks like a dressing room. There's oversized furniture that looks like it has been squeezed into a room far too small for it. There is an acrid smell like burning paint filling the air.
Good for lungs and throats getting ready to sing.
That's right. There's another door leading off to the south.
She opens that, looks around quickly and opens that door.
Yeah, so looking around, you don't see much else beyond that. You open this door, and the sound of the music gets even louder as you realize you are directly backstage. You are right behind where Trill is playing, and there are stands for music, there's a folded velvet curtain, and a wooden cutout of a tree cluttering this small space. And you see through a crack in the door leading off to the west that you're looking out onto the stage as you sneak around in the back.
She picks up the tree and hands it to Mag. I think we might need this later. Put it in the bag, and then turns on her heels and walks back the way she came.
Mag places it in the orchard section of the building.
And she walks back up to the northern door that smelled like paper.
So you run back through the performers area, back up to this, what must be an office in the northern part of the backstage.
Oh, it's not filled with Chafkam's remains. Okay, this is nice. That's good.
I'm back.
I'm back. And she opens that door.
And you open that door and you see the woman that you've been looking for. She's sitting at a desk in a messy office. There's a battered wooden desk that she's sitting behind. There's paperwork. There are ink stains all over it. And she looks at you suddenly as you open the door. And I'm going to say that a Morlock opening this door is enough of a weird Morlock thing to do that she's going to try to make a perception check against her disguise.
Sure.
So her perception versus your deception DC is going to be a 25. Your deception... Go ahead.
That is my deception DC. So I assume you win because that's how this always goes.
Yes. So she looks at you and she squints and she says, Who are you? You're no Morlock? And she gets up and examines you for a moment, sort of turning her head sideways and looking over your skin. And she says, oh, you're right. You're the kitsune who did that part of the show. And she says, you got to get out of it. You can't leave.
Where do you take
must
them?
leave.
Where do you take them? Ao said, like as if she's having a different conversation.
And she looks like she's game for a very short conversation with you before she becomes hostile. And she says, what are you talking about? Who takes who where? What are you saying?
The process. None of them know anything. You seem like you're a smart lady. Where do you take them?
Oh, yeah, the process. And she sits you down and says, you got to get out of my office, but I'll tell you. Sure. You put on a good show, I'll tell you something. I used to come here to the Warped Brew a few times a year. One time, I came here, enjoying a drink just as usual, and I realized that the Sugathis were looking to make me part of their process. They were gonna take me and experiment me on me, do all kinds of things. But I love this bar. So, I did what any reasonable person would do. I killed the tavern's owner and I took over the bar myself.
That's what any reasonable person would do, obviously.
Tale as old as time.
And I guess I made myself valuable enough that they let me keep all of this. And she points down at her body.
Did you come with someone? Someone like you?
I don't have a lot of friends, she says, a tear running down her face.
Because we saw someone like you down in the pit. The basilisks had gotten them. Was that a friend of yours?
I don't have a lot of friends, like I said. Listen, just because they're an Ordefon, that doesn't mean that they're my friend.
Sure. That was weirdly presumptive and kind of racist of me. I'm really sorry.
I wasn't going to say it.
Well, I think we can share one objective, no matter how callous and culturally insensitive we may be, and that is the Sugathis. The process. What? I mean, it sounds like to take your rat out, I'd have to kill you and take over this bar, and I'm not really much of a restaurant owner. What do we do to stop them? This process has to be stopped.
She says, you don't stop them. They pay my bill. Get out of my office. And she looks like she's getting upset. She has no interest in stopping the Sugathis. She just doesn't want to be killed herself or, experimented on herself.
And Ao gives a very angsty teenage sigh and just skulks out.
And you step back out and Mag and Istin are waiting for you in the hallway.
She killed someone and took this place over. I don't know. Not that helpful.
I think it was moderately helpful, Zoe. Come on. I thought that was pretty good.
Well, she wants everything solved in 30 seconds or less. She's a teenager, so she didn't happen, and she's sulky.
So, Ao, what's so important about this process to you? I mean, they're just Morlocks, right?
And she, her big mushroom eyes focus on him. Am I just a Morlock?
No, you're a Kitsune, I believe. Are you?
Right.
You're a Kitsune, right? I didn't get that wrong. Are you?
No.
Are you a human?
Yes. No. I'm a Kitsune, but I guess You haven't really gotten, and she turns into Norman. You haven't gotten to meet me. I'm Ao's better half. Anyways, and Norman puts an arm around Isthan's shoulder. This process is frankly fucking disgusting, and it's destroying lives. I think we have to end it.
Speaking of ending it, Trill's performance ends right about now. And she's able to meet up with the group once more. The Morlocks all looking at Trill and saying,
Yang yang bonobo.
to her as she moves by.
And she's giving him thumbs up, having no idea what they're saying.
And they like grab her two thumbs and shake them back and forth.
Yeah! Oh no.
Boy, would that be disconcerting.
So just to refresh the situation, you've moved into this one door behind the bar that you saw Viscari, the manager of the bar, move into. But there is another door back here behind the bar, and then there are some other exits. But you get the impression that everything in this bar, now that you're more or less known quantities here, has returned to something of a status quo of just these Morlocks sitting around, playing cards, chatting with each other, and waiting for the Sugathi to pluck them out from this room and subject them to this so-called process.
When you put it that way.
And now Norman, undeterred in the AO Norman quest to stop the process, says, well, if they're not coming in through that door, it must be this one. And he determinedly, walks past the bartender, past the drunk Morlock to that other door.
Hey, you can't. Yeah, okay.
As the bartender just sort of leans up against the bar to make room for you as you pass behind him to the back room. So as Ao approaches this back room, she smells a smell similar to the scent that she picked up in that dining room where the performer's meal was kept.
More of that gross food they give them to get them to buy into the process. Hospital has such good food, they tell you. Norman mumbles to himself as he goes in the door.
And you push through the door with the rest of your friends trailing behind you. And you find yourself walking into a kitchen. It's a dirty kitchen that has a lit stove in the corner. The stove is covered with oil stains, gristle, and this strong aroma of smoke. There are alcoves to the north that contain meat hooks and overflowing baskets of fungus. And you hear a voice coming from one of the meat hooks.
I thought you were going to say the baskets of fungus. I'm a little disappointed.
And you realize that there is a man hanging from one of these meat hooks.
Mm-mm.
And then you turn and you see that there is, next to him on the next meat hook, there is a gnome hanging from the meat hook.
Oh, no.
And then next to that, there's a woman with a hand missing hanging from the meat hooks. And the first voice that called out to you calls again, and you see that this individual is a drow male with white hair and scars and marks all over his face like he's been badly beaten. And he calls to you in strained terms. You're not one of them. Come here. Save me!
And Ao runs in.
And we'll pick up from there. Next time.
I'm awful glad I haven't eaten anything here.
Right?
The Roots of Ruin is a Tabletop Gold production, produced under the Paizo Incorporated Community Use Policy. The Roots of Ruin uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Inc., used under Paizo's Community Use Policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. Paizo does not recognize, endorse, or sponsor this project in any way. Original characters and content are the property of Tabletop Gold. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. We at Tabletop Gold would love to hear from you. Email us at letters@tabletopgold.com and find all our social links at tabletopgold.com.